Well, now let's bring in Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right person in the right spot, Congresswoman. So you're on that committee. You're one of the most ferocious members of that committee. But we'll get into some of that. But I just really want your initial response of what you heard Devon Archer say and what you think he didn't say. Let us know what you think.
Well, I think the most damning part of his testimony today is the admission that Hunter Biden got his father, Joe Biden, either on the phone by speakerphone or in person with his business partners overseas. And Devon Archer called Joe Biden the brand. That is the brand they were selling. And the brand was Joe Biden himself, but also more importantly, the vice presidency. So what that revealed today, Eric, is that Joe Biden is on record lying to the American people. He has said it over and over again that he knows nothing about Hunter's business. He's not involved in Hunter's business deals. He's never talked to his son about Hunter Biden's business partners or business deals. But in fact, one of Hunter Biden's business partners, Devon Archer, told the Oversight Committee today in a closed transcribed interview that in fact, they had Joe Biden on the phone to sell the brand. They had Joe Biden in person to sell the brand over 20 times. And that wasn't after he left office. That was while he was vice president of the United States.
Yeah, so we know now that Joe Biden's a filthy liar, but we knew that before. Sorry, Mr. President, but you've been caught lying too many times, plagiarizing, et cetera. We knew that. Not a high crime nor misdemeanor, which would probably be used against him in an impeachment. We'll get to that in a second. But my issue here is what the left is trying to do. Goldman, Congressman Goldman, is trying to paint this as some sort of nothing to see here, folks. Listen to how he described these conversations with the vice president at the time and people at Burisma in China. Listen.
The witness indicated that Hunter spoke to his father every day, and approximately 20 times over the course of a 10-year relationship, Hunter may have put his father on the phone with any number of different people, and they never once spoke about any business dealings. As he described it, it was all casual conversation, niceties, the weather, what's going on.
Yeah. So, Congresswoman, okay. So let's be smart right now. Let the American people hear what the. So you got Hunter Biden, you have Devon Archer on a phone with someone else from Burisma, Ukraine, China, whomever else. Hunter calls the second most powerful human being on the planet, and it goes right through, and he answers on speakerphone. What the heck do you think you're selling at that point? They certainly weren't selling energy expertise at all. Go ahead.
No, actually, and I'm laughing because Dan Goldman, just so everyone knows who he is, he's the trust fund baby, very rich, elite heir to the Levi Strauss family. And also, he was the lead prosecutor on President Trump's first impeachment, which we know was a complete hoax and a complete sham. He is now the self-appointed de facto attorney for Hunter Biden and Joe Biden in the House of Representatives. And he's the ultimate spin doctor, as you see him trying to spell it away. Look, Eric, I've been in business over 25 years, and every business meeting I've ever been in always started out with the niceties and how's the weather there. But what they did is they got right to work and they got into business. And Hunter and Devon Archer would put Joe Biden, the brand, on the phone because they had something to sell, and that was the vice presidency of the United States, the power that seat holds, and the different policy decisions that Joe Biden could deliver, such as withholding aid money to Ukraine in order to get Viktor Shokin, the Ukrainian prosecutor, fired that was investigating Burisma, where both of them were serving on the board.
Yep, it's clear why they did it. Here, so the question being, first of all, why wasn't James Comer there? Why weren't you there? Why wasn't Gates there? Why weren't all the Congress people there? If this was going to be such an important testimony from Devon Archer.
I think that's a great question, and I'll tell you why. Devon Archer and his attorneys canceled on us 3 times leading up to today's testimony. And his attorneys were doing everything they could to stop him from coming in and testifying. They did not want to come before our full committee. They did not want the big show that it would bring. They wanted to do this quietly without the pressure. And it's important for everyone to know, Eric, that today Devon Archer did not walk in to testify with immunity. He was not guaranteed any protection to tell the information that he had to tell today. He had to do this through his own courage. He had to do this on his own because we as legislators in Congress, we cannot provide immunity. We cannot provide protection. Only the Department of Justice can do that. The Department of Justice right now works for Joe Biden.
Yeah, and it also worth noting that Devon Archer could have implicated himself in further crimes had he said things. And by the way, Congresswoman, is Devon Archer a good guy? I know we all on the right are praising him and thanking him for testifying at all, but this is still a guy that was in business with Hunter Biden, taking millions upon millions, and he's now convicted and going to jail for a $60 million scam against Native Americans. So before we run and call this guy a hero, let's be sure that, because I'm not sure he gave us enough to be heroic. Are you?
Well, I can't testify to what kind of person Devon Archer is because I don't know him personally, and I wouldn't go there for that. But in order to be doing the types of things he and others have done, they were basically peddling the influence of the vice presidency. So I think that alone speaks for itself. But I am very glad that he came in today and told the truth. And that is the fact that Joe Biden has lied to the American people and that, in fact, was very much involved in Hunter Biden's business deals and business meetings. And Joe Biden, in fact, is the brand that they were selling.
Is he the big guy? Is he the big guy, though? And that's why I wanted you to. I was just ask: is Joe Biden the big guy? And can you tell us?
Well,
here's one of the.
I'll leave you with this one. Is there'll be more people coming in to talk to us, and hopefully there's one in particular I'm looking forward to talking to in September that I think can tell us for a fact if Joe Biden is.
Congressman, last time I had you on, only about a minute or so or less, I asked you why we're not proceeding forward with an actual impeachment of the president. The Democrats seem to do it. They did it twice with Trump. They circled the wagon whether or not, they all felt the same way about it. You told me last time there were a few who needed to get on board. You want to name some names?
Well, I think Ken Buck came out publicly and is on record saying that he couldn't vote for an impeachment inquiry, even though he wrote a book called Drain the Swamp. There's some others that have come forward and said they wouldn't vote for it. But I think after today, Eric, this had to move the needle. Finding out, in fact, that Joe Biden lied had to move the needle. You remember, Richard Nixon was proven that he lied. That's when Congress started to move towards impeachment before he resigned. President Bill Clinton, it was proven that he lied, and that's when Congress started moving towards impeachment. So today, I think, was a huge revelation that should push any Republican member that isn't there yet that, hey, it's time to take that vote for impeachment inquiry.
You got a congressperson that doesn't want to vote for impeachment after all we do know, and more proof more evidence keeps piling up. You need to call your congressman. I know one that you don't need to call because she's ready to impeach tomorrow. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.